You think you know the story of Frankenstein, right? The monster, the lightning, the horror. But what if that's just scratching the surface? Today, we're going to peel back the layers of that classic story and look at it as something else entirely. Not a creature feature, but a deep philosophical parable about creation, cowardice, and the devastating consequences that follow. This isn't just a horror story, it's a tragic reckoning. So picture this, a frozen wasteland, total ice and silence. This is where it all ends. It's the final brutal showdown between the creator, who our source material calls the architect of sterile intellect, and the being he brought to life, the being of the broken compass. Yeah, this is the end of the road for both of them, and it has been a long, painful journey to get here. Okay, before we really tear this story apart, I want you to hold one image in your mind. This is going to be our key to unlocking the whole thing. Imagine a master architect. He builds this incredible bridge across a massive chasm. But then he gets scared. He's terrified of the drop, so he never secures the final cables. When the bridge starts to crack, who does he blame? The stone, the steel, anything but his own fear. Remember that bridge. It's everything. All right, let's start with the architect of this whole disaster. To figure out why that bridge collapsed, we've got to look at the man who built it, his ambition, what drove him, and, where it all went so horribly wrong. So, what was really pushing this guy? At his core, it was this thing philosophers call the will to power. And look, this isn't just about wanting a promotion. No, this is a deep, primal urge to overcome everything, even death itself. He wanted to usurp nature, to play God. And this is where he got it completely twisted. His goal was to be this Ubermensch, right? A truly great being who creates new life-affirming values. But he made a classic mistake. He thought being great was just about technical skill, about being able to pull off the trick. He confused the act of creation with the responsibility of creation, and that is a huge, huge difference. So the big moment arrives. Life. And what happens? Total revulsion. The second his creation takes its first breath, the architect is disgusted. He doesn't see a new life that needs him. Nope. He sees what the source calls the uncanny, a creepy mirror reflecting his own dark, repressed ambitions. It's like his own inner monster just materialized in front of him, and he just couldn't handle it. So he's at a crossroads. Two paths. Path one, greatness. It means enduring the great pain and difficulty of actually nurturing his creation. Path two, cowardice. He chooses path two. Our sources call it ethical cowardice, and it's a perfect description. He runs away to save his own cozy, blinkered existence. He becomes what's known as a last man, someone who just wants comfort, avoids all risk, and lives for nothing bigger than himself. Of course, an act of cowardice like that, well, it's going to have consequences, right? So to really get the full picture of the architect's failure, we have to flip the coin. Let's look at the being he created and how his story started, not with evil, but with a terrible, tragic corruption. Now, this is maybe the most important part of the whole story, so listen close. The monster was not born a monster. He came into the world good, benevolent, a total blank slate with all the potential for love, for connection, for creating something beautiful of his own. But that potential, it never stood a chance. His moral compass was shattered from the word go. I mean, just try to put yourself in his shoes. The one being who's supposed to be your guide, your entire point of origin. He's a source of absolute terror. You experience instantaneous abandonment. And when you look to the world for help, you just find walls, what our source calls an architecture of offense. Everyone fears you just because of how you look. So what happens to all that good potential, that will to power, when it gets blocked and dammed up by neglect and trauma? Well, it doesn't just disappear. It curdles. It turns into something nasty. The philosophical term for it is ressentiment, basically a poisonous, vengeful bitterness aimed right back at the person who hurt you. And what's amazing is the being gets it. He is totally self-aware. In that final showdown on the ice, he basically lays it all out for his creator. His violence wasn't just mindless rage. It was a philosophical response to his trauma. It's messed up, but vengeance was the only way he could keep any kind of connection to the very person who threw him away. And here's where it all gets locked in. The two separate tragedies, the creators and the createds, they fuse into one single, devastating feedback loop. It's a cycle of monster making, and neither one of them can escape. Just look at how this thing works. It's a vicious circle. Step one, the architect's pride and fear. That leads to step two, the being's abandonment and trauma, which then causes step three,
the beings turn to vengeance and resentment. And that vengeance just fuels step 4, the architect's self-pity and hatred. And round it goes, a perfect spiral straight down. By the end of it all, you can't even tell who's who anymore. The labels creator and created they don't apply. They are a twisted mirror image of each other's failures, just two monsters locked in a death dance. Which brings us right back to where we started, the ice, the end of the line. This is it, the final icy reckoning where this whole tragic story comes to a head. The word that defines the architect's end is Untergang. It's a German word, and it's important we get it right. This does not mean a noble sacrifice. It means a going under, a pathetic, self-destructive collapse that comes from failure and cowardice. He's not going down to build a bridge for a better future. He's just going down. And this is how that final collision is described. The stagnant, destructive flood of neglect meeting the vengeful bitterness of resentment. It's the ultimate crash. Passive neglect hitting active vengeance. And, well, nothing good can come from that. So, let's go back to that bridge for one last time. The one the architect was too scared to finish. You might think the story ends with the bridge just collapsing into the abyss, but it's worse than that. It didn't just collapse. As it fell, it dragged the architect down with it. He was pulled into the exact abyss he was too cowardly to face in the first place. His failure didn't just go away, it came back and took him with it. So what's the final toll? The architect is literally consumed by the storm his own pride unleashed. And the being? He just drifts off into the darkness. He's described as a ghost ship that's lost its navigator. Without the creator to react against, his purpose is gone. And he just disappears. And that leaves us with one last, really provocative question. We know his descent, his Untergang, was a total failure. But can a creator's fall ever become a bridge? Can one person's tragic, self-destructive going under serve as a warning, a lesson, maybe even a foundation for someone else to build upon? It's a powerful thought to end on.